Hi, welcome to Loft Data 1. My name is Diego, and today I'm talking about Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This is one of those movies where, on paper, the premise sounds like it should be an absolute blast. You've got a man from the future played by Sam Rockwell showing up at a diner in LA telling a bunch of random people he needs their help to stop an AI apocalypse. He's already tried this over 100 times, and he's stuck in this loop of trial and error, and he's basically trying to figure out which group of people can actually save the world. That is such a fun setup. It sounds weird, chaotic, funny, sci-fi, and a little apocalyptic, and honestly, like the kind of movie that should just keep escalating and getting crazier as it goes. And while I do think there are some fun ideas here, and there are a few things that worked for me, I gotta be honest, this movie just never fully capitalized on its premise for me. I didn't hate it, I think it's decent, but I do think that it could have been so much more. FYI, this review will contain minor spoilers. Right away, the hook is great. It's weird, it's absurd, and it instantly creates questions. Why these people? Why this diner? Why tonight? What exactly happened in the future? And what are they actually fighting? And I do like that the movie gives us this idea that this is his 117th attempt, because that creates this feeling that despite his willingness to complete his mission, he's tired. He's been through it. The diner folk have been through it. There's something inherently interesting about that, and as the movie goes on, we learn more about this attempt's volunteers, their pasts, and the future he comes from. We get flashbacks, character backstories, and this broader explanation of a world where people become consumed by VR, natural resources running out, humanity basically losing itself to technology, and AI becoming this looming force that pushes everything over the edge. Again, conceptually, I love that. There's a lot of potential there, and even a lot of parallels to our lives today. AI is booming at the cost of water. It makes this premise feel relatable, and it makes you instantly want to root for this ragtag team. The problem is that this movie doesn't use those ideas in the most exciting or impactful ways. I'll explain why, but first let me talk about what I think is my favorite thing about this movie, and that is Sam Rockwell. I really liked his overall vibe in this movie. He's scraggly, and he's got this big goofy beard, and he looks like a mixture of a doomsday prepper, a military survivalist, and a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist who's been through hell. He has these crazy eyes, this twitchy energy, and this attitude where you can tell he's seen way too much and had way too much time to think about everything. So from a visual standpoint and a present standpoint, I think he looked great. The issue is that I don't really feel like he gets very much to do. He's kind of just there to lead the group from location to location. He explains things and he pushes the plot along, and he has the burden of carrying the movie's central mystery, but I never felt like the movie gave him enough material to become truly compelling. He should have been the driving force of this movie in a much bigger way. He should have felt more magnetic, more unpredictable, more tragic, or more dangerous, and instead he just feels like a guide. And that was disappointing because Sam Rockwell is an actor who can make the most weird material fully come alive. He has that offbeat charisma where he can be funny, intense, twitchy, and emotional, and I just don't think this movie uses him nearly as well as it could have. In fact, I think Argylle got more out of him than this movie. One of the central ideas of this movie is that this random group of people might be the group that saves the world. That's obviously intentional, and these folks are portrayed as non-traditional heroes. Even though I understand that idea, I don't think this movie makes this group very interesting to follow. At no point did I ever feel like this was the group. At no point did I feel this chemistry or energy of, okay, these unlikely people are going to matter. They also just kind of moved through the plot. I thought Ingrid was by far the most interesting character in the group because her allergy to Wi-Fi and electronic technology is a strange and specific detail. I think that gives her a unique role in the story by creating an obstacle for her, but it also makes her feel more relevant to the larger themes of the movie. In a story about AI, VR, technological dependence, and humanity becoming swallowed by machines, the character who physically cannot tolerate technology is naturally interesting. So I like that, and I thought it made her stand out. I also thought there were interesting ideas with Susan. The stuff involving her dead son, the clone, the AI deadbots, and especially the idea that she has someone in her ear telling her what to do. I thought that was intriguing. I like the idea that AI is manipulating everything from the sidelines, giving these people a false sense of hope. It's a really creepy idea. The problem is that the movie never explores it enough. It's just one of those ideas where I kept waiting for a stronger payoff, and it just never fully came. As for Mark and Janet, played by Michaelpena and Zaziebeetz, I thought they were okay. Not bad, just okay. Their backstory with the students obsessed with phones and the anti-tech jammers is a decent enough setup, but I never felt like they became especially memorable. Same with some of the others in the group. The movie introduces all of these little threads and bits of characterization, but they just never fully click and come together. That's unfortunately the entire running theme of this movie. There are pieces here that are interesting, but not many of them come together in a satisfying way. My biggest issue with this movie is, without question, the pacing. The movie is about 2 hours and 15 minutes, and for a movie with this this kind of premise, it should feel more energetic than it does. It should feel tighter, funnier, more chaotic, more energetic, and more dangerous than it really does. Instead, it kind of lingers, especially in that open diner section. We spend a huge chunk of time in that cafe with Sam Rockwell monologuing about AI, the future, and what they're up against, and while some of that is a necessary setup, it just goes on a little too long without enough momentum. It doesn't feel like the tension is building in a satisfying way, and the movie is stalling instead of launching, and that becomes a pattern. There are multiple moments in the movie where it feels like we should be ramping up, but instead the film just kind of hangs there. It's not that nothing's happening, because things do happen, but the energy never really spikes in the way I wanted it to. This movie has action, it has deaths, and it has sci-fi weirdness, but it never feels intense or as fun as it should. That's kind of why I keep coming back to this one word, and that is underwhelming. Not because the premise is bad, I really think the premise is fun, but because the execution just doesn't have enough urgency. That leads to another issue, which is that I never really felt the stakes. This is a movie about stopping an AI singularity. The future is supposedly devastated, humanity is collapsing, and technology has basically consumed people, and yet weirdly, the movie rarely feels dangerous. That's the strange thing. Yes, some characters die, yes, there's some blood and gore, yes, there are moments where the group is attacked, but I never really felt like the characters were in genuine danger. Even when the movie wants to feel dramatic, I don't think it earns that drama. For example, there's a mob of zombie-like teenagers surrounding a house, and in theory, that should be a pretty unnerving sequence. The idea of these phone-obsessed, tech-controlled teens slowly closing in on the characters should be unsettling, but the way it plays out, it just never hits with the kind of intensity I wanted. Same thing with some of the fight scenes and attacks throughout the movie. They happen, but they don't leave much impact. So when the movie tries to sell me on the seriousness of the situation, I had a hard time fully buying into it. It felt falsely dramatic to me, like it wanted the weight of a sci-fi apocalypse thriller without actually creating the tension to carry it. Now, I know I am pointing out a lot of flaws, but there genuinely were a lot of little things that I liked scattered throughout the movie. I liked the idea of AI created or AI influenced imagery. I liked the weirdness of the clone teens. I liked the kid sitting on top of wires and technology. I liked the concept of strange AI controlled toys and cleaning robots attacking the group. And I especially liked the AI cat dinosaur thing. That's the kind of bizarre, unsettling, visually memorable imagery that this movie needed much more of. Because if you're making a movie about AI becoming this unstoppable force, I want to feel that. I want to see more of the weirdness. I want the threat to feel inventive and natural, invasive, and almost surreal. One of the things this movie does really well is how it plays with idea of technological dependence, isolation, grief, escapism, and the way that people let technology consume their lives. You see that in Ingrid, you see that in Susan, you see that in Mark and Janet's flashbacks with the students, you see that in the future the man describes, where people basically disappear into a VR world until the real world dies around them. I know I've already said it, but that stuff is relevant, it's timely. It makes sense for a movie like this. From a visual and tonal standpoint, I also don't think that this movie is bad. It has moments that are cool, weird, or amusing, and there are definitely scenes where you can feel the movie straining towards something more memorable. I'm gonna beat a dead horse here, but it never fully reaches the next level. It's not awful, it's not boring, it's not devoid of ideas, it's just a movie with a genuinely fun premise that never becomes as fun, as sharp, or as exciting as it should have been. Honestly, in a lot of ways, I would compare it with Argylle. And I know that might sound harsh to some people because I noticed a lot of people tend to like this movie a lot more than Argylle, but for me, they're roughly in the same territory. In fact, I actually think Argylle had more entertaining action, and in some ways, I even think it used its star more effectively. This movie has some smarter ideas, but I don't think it turns those ideas into a better overall experience. At the end of the day, Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die is a movie that I wanted to like much more than I actually did. I really liked the premise, I liked Sam Rockwell's energy and overall look, I think Ingrid is an interesting character, I think there are some cool ideas involving AI, clones, VR, and technological dependence, and I think there are even a few funny and entertaining moments scattered throughout. But the pacing drags, the stakes don't land, the group dynamic never fully clicks, a lot of the side stories don't pay off, and the movie never fully commits to this weird, dangerous, visually inventive sci-fi chaos that it feels like it should have embraced. So for me, this is one of those movies where the premise is better than the execution. I think it's a decent movie, I don't think it's terrible, but I also don't think it comes close to reaching its full potential. In other words, unless you're a die-hard Sam Rockwell fan, skip this movie. Thank you for listening to my review of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and hit subscribe. If you did not enjoy the video, thank you for sticking around. As always, I would love to read what you have to say, so leave a comment and let me know what you're thinking. Also, if there's something you want to see reviewed, don't forget to let me know and I will do my best to get to it. Lastly, if you want to see some more from me, then you can check out my vlogs linked up above or my podcast, Good Friends. Again, thank you for watching. My name is Diego and I will see you next time.